Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching from. We are so excited to have you here. You're welcome to this insightful and interesting discussion marking the International Women's Day celebration. And with me here is Adaku, Judith, Ekueme, and we will be together discussing on the topic Accelerate Action for Women and Girls Education. So sit back, grab your popcorn, and relax. This session is just going to be for less than 30 minutes. So in no time, we'll be done. And we will appreciate your feedback. Please feel free to drop your feedback. If you think that there's something that we need to improve on, please let us know. We appreciate it. If you think that there's something that's applaudable about the session, please let us know. And if you want to add your voice and also make a contribution to this discussion, we'll be so happy to receive your feedback. Please drop your feedback in the comment section. And don't forget to share this video right now. Start sharing it right now on your status, on your social media, to your friends and family. Let everybody gather here because we are going to be discussing a very, very foundational issue today. And also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like this channel. We're so happy to have you again. So sit back and relax. We'll be having Adaku speak with us. Join us as I make welcome Adaku Judith Ekueme.
Hi, I am Adaku Ekueme, Programs Lead at Saving Hand Development Initiative, Shade Aid. And on this year's International Women's Day, tagged Accelerate Action, I'm going to be shedding the light on access to education for female children. Only 67% of young girls attend primary school, and this percent is as low as 41% in the northeast and 47% in the northwest of Nigeria. According to UNICEF, 10.5 million children are out of school in Nigeria. And of this population of 10.5 million children, 60% are girls. This highlights the huge population of young girls who lack access to education, simply because cultural perspectives predict or says that women are better suited for domestic chores. Drawing from my personal experience as a child, I had just gained admission into secondary school, and my dad was sharing my admission letter with a couple of friends, and they said to him that why was he spending money sending me to formal education or going to secondary school? He was only wasting the money, and it was better I was sent to learn a skill, get to cook, learn to clean, simply because I was only going to end up in another man's kitchen. And this represents the perspective for most of the young girls in Nigeria and Africa today. On this International Women's Day 2025, tagged Accelerate Action, I am calling on government parastatals, private institutions, individuals, and every one of us to accelerate action, ensure that young girls have access to education, because even girls as much as boys deserve formal education. There is a saying that says when you educate a man, you educate an individual, but when you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Bliss Ojeruse, Executive Director of Saving Hand Development Initiative. On this International Women's Day, we would like to call on everyone and every stakeholder to accelerate action for girls and women education, especially girls, because every girl will eventually become a woman. I would like to beam a spotlight on Malala Yousafzai. She is a Pakistani and the youngest Nobel laureate, and she is an activist for the education of women and girls. Against all odds, even to the point of her life being threatened, she stood out for the education of girls and women in Pakistan, where she hails from. And against all odds, her father, who was a teacher, despite the fact that girls' education was not supported, he ensured that he becomes a voice for girls' education. And Malala was part of the beneficiaries of his program. And at the young age of 17, She became the youngest Nobel laureate. So it is important for us to ensure that every girl child is educated. A whole lot of factors affect the inability for girl children to be educated. And one of the things that we would like to talk about here is the importance of creating conducive learning environment that favors the girl child. In as much as every child is important, we know that the girl child has some special uniqueness. In the year 2019, when our organization carried out a research in one of the state's public schools, we usually carry out research in different schools. For this particular school, we carried out a WASH survey. WASH now stands for Water, Sanitation and Hygiene. And so we carried out this survey and we discovered that this particular school was a school serving a whole lot of communities. Children come in from different communities. And they lacked wash facilities, they lacked water, they lacked toilets. And so we started, advocating for them to have those facilities. But during this period, we noticed that a lot of girls skip classes when they're having the monthly cycle. Why? Because the environment was not conducive for them to come to school, and you know what the result of that would be. The performance will be affected greatly. So we encourage all stakeholders. This is not just for public schools. I know of a child in a private school who mentions to me that she doesn't use the toilet until she gets back home. And this is a child that goes to school, resumes school by 7 a.m. and then returns home at about 4 p.m. Now imagine what this child will be going through every day while in school. And you know that if a girl child, is exposed to infection, it can also affect her reproductive health and a lot of aspects of her health. So it is important for us to create a good, conducive learning environment, both for children generally and then for the girl child. Children should enjoy coming to school, not just to meet with friends, but school should be an inspiration of the kind of life. It should be that when they come to school, they know that education is something that is valuable. I remember in one of the states that we also worked in, at a point when we go visit the Ministry of Education complex, it was really appalling because we had bushes growing up in that complex. And usually what went on my mind was how would children be inspired to learn when even this a place like this that is supposed to spearhead education in the whole state is in this condition. Favorably, a well-meaning governor stepped in so that came into power and the narrative began to change. That place was transformed in no time and it depicted a beautiful environment to inspire the younger generation that education is worth it. So there are so many things we can do to encourage girl child. For instance, in the northern part of Nigeria, girls should not be given out to early marriage. Please, it was one of the communities that we worked in years back. And one of the children, because our major intervention was education, one of the girl children all of a sudden was out of the community. And before we knew it, she got married. This was a teenager. She got married. And these children were always coming to, receive lessons from us. But this girl got married. And that was how she just ended up like that. A boy from the same community, among other children, was also very, enthusiastic. The boys were mostly the ones coming for to be educated by given formal education. We had extramural classes. One of the boys that was very committed, he finished with us and he wrote his SSC and he passed it. And we supported him, Saving Hand Development Initiative, to his university level, his first degree, and he became a civil engineer. He graduated with a second class upper degree in civil engineering. Today, he's no longer a boy, of course, he's a man. He's working in Abuja as a civil engineer. Alright, now, so when we discovered that the girls were not forthcoming, we started trying to, you know, encourage them to come. And we were glad that one of the girls later got admission into university to study accounting. So it is very important for every girl child to be given attention. They may not the environment, the culture that they're growing up that they grow up from may not encourage them. So we have to do everything to encourage them. And for women who have missed education, we encourage adult literacy for these women. At least let them learn to read and write. Because to help them in every endeavor and to give them a voice going forward. So on this International Women's Day, we call on everyone. Yes, why we call on the government to do the needful to provide a conducive learning environment and provide quality education in the schools. We call on parents to ensure that their girl children are not relegated to the background. They are put in school. We also call on corporate organizations, businesses, enterprises to invest in corporate social responsibilities in education. Any organization that you find championing the cause of education, support them, fund their activities. That's the least you can do for your community. We call on everyone to raise their voices because everything begins with a foundation, and the foundation is education. Even the basic education, at least, is important. We call on the government to actually invest in that basic education to ensure that it is what it should be. I remember the stories that my dad, told us about basic education growing up. Education needs to upgrade back to the status and even better off because now we have social technology that can accelerate learning and children of this generation they are very very smart and once you expose them to digital education they'll be able to grasp but even while doing this we must not we must do it in a way that aligns with the children we are dealing with. We should not just go and copy digital literacy from abroad and just bring it hook, line, and sinker. We must align it to what is obtainable with us, especially because of the children in the rural area that may not be exposed to some of this digital technology. So here is every one of us here in Spain and Development Initiative stating again that we need to accelerate action for every child, especially girl children, to be educated because every girl child will eventually become a woman. Thank you. Happy International